I'm not wasting these gold moments on 60 Minutes.
Oh, wow, Rob, what a treat and a joy to be talking to you.
Is that a Ben, Rob and Robbo exclusive?
I'm liking your new digs. This is flashier than any studio that I've ever worked in.
I want to come on this show all the time because no other show would ever set me up with that much room for danger.
Rob and Robbo.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, entertainment, it's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello there and welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. It is great to have your company on this Thursday for Tipsy Thursday. Hope you can have a drink with us. I'm on the beer today. Cheers, Amanda. Well, someone who won't be drinking on a typical Tipsy Thursday is our good friend Ben, who is missing in action. He's actually not well today. He's off sick. He's had to call in sick. And we know how much Ben loves the camera, so he must really be sick. In his place, we have Jo Casamento. Jo, thank you for stepping into the chair today.
It's always such a pleasure. And I have my Aperol Spritz for a sunny Sydney day. I've got to say, the sun is out. It's very exciting. Spring is here.
Well, cheers. And Robbo, it's good to see you. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking out of the limited edition Ben, Rob and Robbo Show mug. If you want to get one, contact me directly. Don't go through Rob or anyone else, but I can get you a great price on these. A very special, a very wonderful price of $60, and you could get yourself a brand new. Well,
and yet I can do it for $29.95.
Yeah. So you're stealing more money from us, are you, Rob?
And what's in the cup? Because I know it's not tea or coffee.
I can say exclusively here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show and the Joe Show today that Jesus has visited our house. That was water in there, but he's done his thing. You can work out whether he's turned it into fish or bread or whatever the other one was, but it certainly used to be water.
Yeah, and look, Jo, once again, do appreciate you getting in. And Ben, we are sending you our love and hope that you get better very soon. Look, there is a lot coming up. And before we get started, indulge me for a moment because we have a mega week on the show. Jo, you will be hoping Ben is still sick next week. Because we have Scott Cam coming on next week. We have Joe Griggs from Better Homes and Gardens, who will be our fourth panellist for the entire day. We will have two masked singers and lots of other stuff happening. Like, seriously, next week is a mega week for the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show, so do not miss it. In the meantime, let's get the latest coronavirus news with David Robinson.
Rob, thank you. This is the latest in COVID-19 news on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. To Victoria first, where we unfortunately are back in the triple digits, recording 113 new cases in the past 24 hours. There have also, sadly, been a further 15 deaths. Premier Dan Andrews has spoken at a press conference this morning, which we will get to shortly, but in that he said that suppression, not elimination, remains the plan. To New South Wales now, where there have been 12 new cases. 5 of those are linked to that CBD cluster that we've talked about on the program before. 3 are mystery cases and 1 is under investigation. There is also 3 in hotel quarantine. In Queensland, there have been 2 new cases, both linked to each other and the existing youth detention centre cluster. One of these new cases is a staff member at an aged care home, and you are up to date on COVID-19 here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Rob? Unfortunately, Rob, we cannot hear you at this present time.
Thank you, Robbo. Appreciate the update. Let's move on to our hot button topics. Dramatic video has been released showing the moment a pregnant mother of 2 was arrested in her own home. Zoe Buller was still in her pyjamas when Victoria Police executed a search warrant and placed her under arrest. The charge? Incitement, related to a Facebook event post where she invited people to take part in a protest against the lockdown. Let's have a look at the video.
Now, you're under arrest in relation to incitement.
Incitement.
What's that? Now, you're not obliged to say or do anything, but anything you say or do may be given evidence.
Excuse me, incitement for what? What on earth? Excuse me, what on earth?
So just put your phone down.
Can you
record
this? I'm in my pajamas.
What's this?
I have an ultrasound in an hour.
Yeah, she's pregnant, so
I'll take it easy.
What's this about?
But I have an ultrasound
Just let me
in an
finish.
hour.
Let me finish and I'll explain. It's in relation to a Facebook post, in relation to a lockdown protest you put on for Saturday.
Yeah, and I wasn't breaking any laws by doing
You
that.
are actually. You are breaking the law. That's why I'm arresting you in relation to
In
insult.
front
How
of
can
my
you
children,
arrest her?
In
That's-
front of my 2 children.
Can't you just say to her, take the post down? Like, come
I'm
on.
happy to
obliged.
delete the post. This is ridiculous.
right.
Yeah, this is a bit unfair. Come on, mate.
No,
What about she just doesn't do the event? Like, it's not like she's done it.
Well,
She
you've
made a
already
post.
committed the offence. So I'm not going to.
So that's an offence.
Now, the search warrant entitles us, and we're required to seize any computers, any mobile devices you have.
Earth?
Yeah. Can I just get your badge there, mate?
It's all there.
Mrs. Bueller maintained she didn't know what she did was illegal and offered to take down the post, but police said the offence had already been committed. The post has since been removed, and Victoria's Assistant Police Commissioner Luke Cornelius spoke about the arrest at a press conference just a short time ago.
Of course, I'd be the first to acknowledge the optics, for want of a better description, of arresting a pregnant female. It's never going to look good. The optics of arresting someone who's pregnant is terrible. And so, of course, we were very keen to understand the circumstances and consider whether or not in all the circumstances that action was appropriate. And I can say to you, based on the briefings that have been provided to me and my colleague, Assistant Commissioner Cindy Millen, we're absolutely satisfied that in those circumstances the members behaved appropriately and in accordance with our policy.
Joe, what do you think? She did do the crime.
Well, it's interesting. I hadn't seen the police commissioner speak there, but Rob, I got to say, when I saw this video, I actually really did think the police had overstepped the mark. I mean, I am pro-mask, as you know. I am pro following the rules and following, being a law-abiding citizen. But I think in this instance, we really saw a heavy-handed approach whereby this girl wasn't violent, she wasn't threatening, she offered to take down the post. As we just heard here, maybe there are circumstances we are obviously unaware of, but it's a real diminishing of our civil sort of liberties to come into your home, handcuff you with your pregnant in front of your children. You've got a full bladder as you wait for your ultrasound exam. And not only that, they took their computers, their mobile phones. I just think it's an erosion that we don't want to see in a country like Australia. I did think it was heavy-handed, and I got to say, I globally, I don't think it looks good either.
Joe. The woman broke the law. She's inciting protests. She's inciting people to break the law. This is a criminal offence. Now, the police...
Actually, wait, Rob, can I correct you there for a minute? She's in stage 3 in Ballarat, which is not in stage 4. She only asked them to come to the park and take a walk. She said it was going to be peaceful. Yes, it was stupid. Yes, it's dumb. No, I don't agree with her at all. I think, what she's asking is dangerous. But don't you have too
many people thinking that the law, when it comes to COVID-19, doesn't apply to them? This Assistant Police Commissioner also made the point, just because they're put in handcuffs for a moment does not mean they will remain in handcuffs. Amanda said to me, well, I wouldn't want to be going down to the police station in my pajamas. I have no doubt they allowed her to change. But the simple fact is they've gone into the home. They're trying to show the warrant. They're being thrust with cameras in their face. Those police officers are not being heavy-handed. This is not like the takedown of Peter Foster when he appeared on 60 Minutes and tackled to the ground. They're all being very calm.
And she said that. She said they actually were... She's said a statement since then where she said they treated her well and there was no argument about that. Yes.
Yeah, but I did feel the police had to make a judgment call to say, you guys need to take this serious. This isn't just... We're not just pissing around here. You're actually taking our badge numbers, which is all fine. No, the people in the home did nothing wrong as far as all that. But the police also had to make them understand this is serious. I have no doubt they're going to let her go, and as long as she hasn't sent emails to people saying we're going to, spit on people or anything like that. I'm sure this will pass. But the fact is the Assistant Police Commissioner, and I watched his press conference, said that about 80 people have been contacted, people that were planning to go, and they've been politely warned that they shouldn't be going and given a letter. This was an organiser, and there is a difference. And just because you say you didn't know that was the law, it's not an excuse. We all know that. Just because you don't know the law doesn't mean that's a reason not to be punished by the law. And I have a lot of sympathy for her being pregnant in front of her kids and all that kind of stuff. But to suggest this was out of control from the police, I just don't cop it.
Well, the protest hadn't even happened yet. And where were these same police and their heavy-handed tactics when the Black Lives Matter protest was on, where no arrests were made,
I
where
agree with you, Jo.
hotel quarantine? It's like a bit too little, too late, isn't it? And
well, then
I don't know, to confiscate your mobile phones and your computer. I think that's a real invasion of civil liberties, and I'm concerned about that. I really am. A Facebook post where you haven't actually done the crime yet. And inciting what? Putting up an ad?
It's incitement. You don't actually have to go to the protest to do the crime. You're inciting people to do the wrong thing. And that is breaking the law.
I just think it was a real overstepping and a real heavy-handedness that didn't need. Sure, what about when Sam Newman did the same thing and they issued him with a warning to take down the post?
Yep. That police have visited him as well.
Can't they just say, can you take down this post, blah, blah, blah? Do we have to do in front of her 2 children? I mean, the woman was pregnant, and I don't actually think that matters. It's still an invasion of privacy and not privacy. I think it's still an invasion in her home. And the, punishment didn't fit the crime in that instance, I don't think.
Robbo, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this. Who do you agree with, me or Jo?
I don't
Come
agree
on,
with any of you,
Robbo. I make great Aperol spritzers.
Yeah, but I can't drink them, Jo. So, that's an empty kind of offer there. But I appreciate the offer. Rob, you touched on this before. Ignorance is not an excuse for a crime. You can't say, I didn't know, and that is a defense mechanism there. You can't choose how you are arrested. No one gets that right. If you've broken a law and that is the law of the land, you just don't get the right of going, well, hang on a minute. Do you mind if I just have me ultrasound? I'll get me kids off to preschool. I'll get changed. Give me a time for a shower. You don't get that time. Whether you agree with the laws or not in Victoria, these are the laws. And that's just the way it is. This idea of going, I didn't know that this was bad. It's not like if we were 1 week, 1 month, maybe 2 months into the pandemic, and with these kind of lockdown laws that had happened all over the country, maybe, just maybe, you could feign ignorance and go, well, I didn't know. We are 8 months, according to the WHO, into this pandemic. We're certainly from, I think, March here in Australia. We've been there since then for 6 months. You know what you're doing. I kind of like this, actually, because she was a keyboard warrior, not respecting the laws of the land, and she got bloody caught for it. I don't mind it.
Surely there are bigger criminals to be focusing on right now. I really think it was a gross overstepping of Big Brother in this instance. I really do. I mean, goodness, what are we going to say on Facebook when we write things that might... it's just, I think it was too much.
Difference between writing something and inciting people and organising a protest event when it is illegal at this stage because we are trying to control a pandemic. But look, I've heard your thoughts because there's more on this to talk about, Jo. So let's move on to our next topic because it's a roadmap out of Victoria's restrictions. But like the UBD directory, the Andrews government is saying it's out of date. Whether that's true or just government spin, the leaked document obtained by the Herald Sun newspaper details the ideas of how the Garden State might return to a sense of normality. The fully designed roadmap has a summary of proposed easing of restrictions beginning from the 14th of September. The current curfew, 8 p.m. until 5 a.m, will remain in place. There would be 2 hours of exercise allowed per day, split into 2 different sessions. Widespread restrictions on businesses, including retail, would remain in place. What is different is a single person can now nominate another person to visit. Oh, booty calls. Nothing, however, was mentioned about the 5-kilometre radius that currently prohibits people from travelling out of where they live. Premier Daniel Andrews spoke earlier today, and here's some of what he had to say.
The documents that have been the subject of a lot of interest over these last few hours are out of date and have no status. We will, on Sunday, give people a clear roadmap with as much detail and as much certainty as we can possibly provide. It won't be guided simply by dates on the calendar, though. It'll be guided by the science and the data. It'll be guided by how many cases there are in Victoria and the types of cases. There is an enormous amount of modelling going on at the moment. That does take quite some time. Literally thousands of scenarios are run through various computers.
What do you think, Robbo? Is this, do you like this easing, or do you think this is just propaganda?
Well, it's difficult to say, isn't it, Rob? There's a lot of mixed messages around. I think a very important lesson for the Victorian government and for everyone is to be more transparent and to be more direct.
But they will be on Sunday. It's just that the
and
press are jumping on any information they can get. So,
and the press is very important in a democracy. A press is very important in democracy. An ABC journalist, a very respected ABC journalist, really challenged Dan Andrews in the previous
we'll
press
be
conference.
coming to that in a moment. We'll be coming to that story in a moment, Robbo.
Yeah, I was just about to give that tease, but thank you, Robert. Appreciate that it's my first week in television. Yes, we'll be coming to that very bloody shortly. But this to me is, from what I understand, from my contacts in Victoria and in Melbourne, this was actually leaked by the opposition. So, Rob, you've got a big problem with the fact that many people are politicising what is a very dangerous, a very challenging life for people to live, especially in Victoria. And it would appear that, in good conscience, possibly the Andrews government has, released that information to the opposition. The first thing they do is then leak it to the press. And look, you've got to give a little bit of credit and a little bit of understanding to Dan Andrews, because they are working through this. They are fully aware of how important this is. This is, and I agree, this is probably a draft. This is where we're heading. We've got to keep talking. We've got to keep having meetings. That's good government. It is not good opposition, I think, to just leak something that clearly isn't ready.
Well, the opposition now, the Liberal opposition in Victoria, now can't complain if the Andrews government doesn't give them information ahead of time. You've had your chance, you've blown it. The first thing you did was leak it to the Herald Sun, who are against the Premier in Victoria and have been giving him a lot of crap. So this was opportunistic, and in a moment I want to talk about the politicisation of COVID-19. But, Jo, is it dangerous to release a draft report when the information is so confusing? And I agree with a free press and editors make those decisions, but is it dangerous during a pandemic to release information that isn't official and confuse the situation even further?
Yeah, I just had an overwhelming sense. I took my mind back to being in a newsroom, which I've, been in for many years.
Many years.
And I know when you're in a newsroom, yes, many decades. And it's my birthday this weekend, but anyway. But I know that sense of, the thrill of getting something and getting your hands on something you are not supposed to. And I understand editorially, it's kind of, journalists generally run by the rule of get it, and then we'll decide after we've run it up the flagpole and tested it with the lawyers whether we're going to print it. And as a journalist, those decisions are often out of your hands. They're made by editors. But in this instance, I do think they got it wrong. We are talking about, as you said, a pandemic that has affected the lives, the livelihoods, the mental health, everything for these Victorians.
Yeah.
And to release it early in a format that wasn't right, and we've had the head of the Australian Chamber of Commerce come out and say it looks nothing like what he's been working on all week, and I think that was a relevant statement. I don't think he was making that up. So my concern is, yes, if you start, it's confusing enough, as we just saw with that story about whether you can be a bimbo, which she called herself, and get the law wrong. It's dangerous enough, isn't it? When people and police are coming into your home with handcuffs if you get it wrong, we really need to make sure Victorians get out of this safely. I understand their desperation. It's very easy and safe, but it would be crazy if they got out of it and it was all for nothing. All the hard work was for nothing. It's got to, it's got to be patient and slow. And as easy as that is for me to say, wouldn't it be terrible if we went into stage 3 because they got out of it just that little bit too quickly and in the wrong way?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, getting to the story Robbo was talking about, and it is official. Niceties are over when it comes to the ongoing pandemic. Now, premiers are turning on each other, and the press is openly questioning the motives of our leaders. First up, we have New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian launching a blistering attack on her Queensland counterpart, Anastasia Palaszczuk.
It's important that the Premier of New South Wales has a speaking relationship with the Premier of Queensland. Are you willing to pick up the phone and fix that?
But look, Ben, it's not through want of trying, can I say? Can I tell you on how many? It's not through want of trying.
Well, you've tried to call her and she won't call back?
I've tried to establish a positive relationship, but it's a bit difficult when decisions are made without them even telling us. And can I compare that to Dan Andrews and the Prime Minister? The three of us worked together on a very difficult decision on the Victoria-New South Wales border, and I'd like to see that applied to all borders. And I think that at this stage of the pandemic, all of us should be thinking about how we can make life easier for our citizens, what they can do rather than what they can't do. And that's certainly the headspace that we're in New South Wales. This is not a time to put additional stress on people. All of us are feeling the stress in our own way. All of us are feeling a sense of let's get on with it. But I also want people to start feeling more optimistic about the future, and that's important to me. And any cases like that, I would please bring them to my attention, and we will deal with them.
Okay, that optimism will increase if the relationship with Queensland is stronger and we come up with a way of moving forward. Are you willing to pick up the phone and phone the Premier of Queensland and say, hey, we need to sort this out, we need to work together? Because at the moment, you two aren't talking.
But Ben, the challenge is, can I be absolutely frank, she has made a decision and isn't willing to talk about that decision and is refusing to budge. So what we do then is make sure that our health officials, all our people who deal with compassionate issues are speaking to all of their officials to make sure we get exemptions for people who need them.
Can I just say, when it comes to Queensland, can the rest of Australia just piss off? We want the border lockdown. We don't want the virus crossing over. When I see the way Victorians are being forced to live, I don't want that up here. So my message to Joss Frydenberg, Gladys Berejiklian and all the commentators in Sydney is simple. Just piss off and stop telling us what to do. Your bullying of our state is only more likely to make me vote for Anastasia Palaszczuk in the upcoming election. Jo, why is everyone else trying to tell Queenslanders what to do?
Rob, we're a team, we're a nation, we're a federation. I think what comes here is it's the double standards,
okay, so
Rob,
we should
that
all
people
get
are upset
coronavirus.
about. No, but you see, when you see 400 AFL officials sitting by the pool, sipping pina coladas that have been allowed in, and a grandmother of 7 who's just had brain cancer not allowed to quarantine at home, or you see a mother of now one single baby that was two babies in her womb.
But that was not put
having
on an
to
emergency
fly to a
priority
hospital
list.
6 hours away because she was scared, because of the misinformation, because Anastasia Palaszczuk, I cannot say her name. Palaszczuk, because she had given such a signal that if you cross this border, we are sending you back. New South Wales people are scared.
But Jo, you have to do that. Everyone is trying to break the border rules. We in Queensland are living a relatively normal life, and I don't want to be in stage 4 lockdown like Victoria, and I really feel
Hold on. Wait.
Careful.
You made this point. You made this point yesterday. You don't want to be in stage 4 lockdown, but you seemed very excited and very, very happy with the fact that 400 people.
Yes, you want tourism
people from Victoria.
Fantastic.
Are coming to. Am I having a stroke? Can anyone else smell burning toast? Because you just contradicted yourself right now, saying that you are happy to have Queensland borders closed.
I can see the world in colour, not in black and white. There is a benefit to those people coming through and doing the quarantine restrictions, being tested by medical professionals and making sure they are not infected before they're allowed to integrate.
There would have been a benefit to that poor mother who lost one of her twins. It would have been a benefit if someone in Queensland, in some of the bureaucracy,
it was up to her doctors to put that as a priority call to get them into a Queensland hospital.
Clearly
that's
they
what
did,
that
but
came down to.
No,
they didn't.
No, it didn't.
Your
Queensland
info is wrong.
No, it's not. Anastasia Palaszczuk came out and said Queensland hospitals are for Queensland people.
Yeah, they did.
New South Wales
but here
have your own
we have
hospitals.
Gladys Berejiklian refusing to move the border down to the river line to make sure that it's easier for border communities. She's the one playing politics here, and it does
The border,
my head in.
no, that border movement would not have included this woman who was 30 kilometres from the border. That Gladys Berejiklian,
Ballina
you know,
is half an
put through.
hour.
Yeah, but there have
the
to
border.
be limits, people.
So,
we are
but
trying
400
to keep Queensland safe.
Oh my God, 400. If it was from any other state in the country, then fine, maybe you've got a loose kind of argument. But you are getting in the worst hit state, 400 people from the worst hit state in Australia, and you're saying, tickety-boo, no worries, fine, bring them in.
I'm not saying tickety-boo, no worries, bring them in. I'm saying bring them in for their 2 weeks quarantine, which is what they are doing. They have medical professionals. The AFL will be spending money on security and medical professionals to make sure each of those people does not test positive. And if they do, they will not allowed to be into the community to integrate. They are going through a process. And there have been situations where people are trying to avoid the process. And that is the difference.
This family wasn't. This family wasn't.
Can I just say, as the mother of twins who, thank the Lord, are 15 and turning 16 next month, the situation when you're pregnant and you've got babies, you know, things turn on the head of a pin in a heartbeat, literally a heartbeat. To be making those decisions at that moment in time when there's no major hospital nearby, it could have been a normal twin pregnancy up until that point. To have the fear of the Premier of Queensland speaking that way, she literally said, like you told us, to piss off all New South Wales, anyone not from Queensland.
But I'm not saying piss off about crossing the border, Jo. I'm saying piss off telling us what to do. That's.
But hold on,
You want us there in
can I-
September school holidays for
For tourism.
live it up at Port Douglas and hang out in Cairns.
Correct.
Won't you?
Correct. So, Rob, I go back to the comments yesterday where no one else from New South Wales, Victoria, is allowed to cross the border. Not one person. No matter what your issue,
That's
you
not
are
true.
not allowed
It's only
to
if
cross.
you're in a hotspot, Robbo.
No, Victoria has been labelled as a hotspot.
Yes, but not all of New
the
South
greatest
Wales has been.
Greater Sydney, yes, it has actually. The whole of New South Wales has now been considered a hotspot, and no one from Victoria or New South Wales can cross the border into Queensland. That has been one of Anastasia Palaszczuk's policies, where she gets up in a podium and goes, "We are being tough on border controls," except for, hold on, if we can get the AFL grand final, happy to have you, boys.
It's a once in a
Happy to
lifetime
have you.
opportunity.
It's not a once in a
you
lifetime.
must be joking.
Rob, is the AFL going to cancel? Is the AFL going to implode in the next 10, 20, 30? And we're dealing with a once in a lifetime, once in 100 years pandemic. And you're saying that everyone else out of New South Wales, Victoria, nah, you're dirty, disgusting. We want to keep living our
seeing your
lives here in
parents
Queensland.
before they die. Seeing,
That's right. But
honestly.
Jo,
we're going to get an AFL
I have
grand
not
final.
seen my sister's baby because I cannot get down to New South Wales, and that is something I have to live with, and it breaks my heart. But I'm living with it because it is for the greater good. And we up in Queensland have coronavirus under control. And we've got all these commentators in Sydney and Melbourne and politicians
So let's
saying,
bring in 400
Queensland,
people from
stop
Melbourne.
doing what you're
Yep.
doing. The problem is,
Yep.
for you guys, we like what Anastasia Palaszczuk is doing. We support her, and you can all get stuffed.
Well, do the
Now,
local
hold on,
businesses
Rob.
say that? Do the
Yeah, do they say
holiday
that?
business, the tourism businesses, are they saying that as well? I've been listening to Pauline Hanson, who represents a lot of those up there, and I'm pretty sure they're
Correct.
angry.
Pauline Hanson's angry about everything, and yes, there are some business people who'd rather put money before lives, 100%.
But can I ask you something else? Would you see
Rob,
this
if there's
go
a
on
cluster
forever?
from this 400 people, will you be as supportive of Anastasia Palaszczuk and her
There won't
wonderful
be a
policies
cluster
that you
because
love?
what they're doing, Robbo, is they're isolating everybody. And if someone...
But human error, that's what happened in Melbourne. Human error. One
Yeah,
security
well, we're not
guard
Melbourne.
couldn't keep his...
And also,
Look at
you're
his pads.
asymptomatic for a long time. These people are going straight to quarantine. They're not all being tested. That's the difference. So, yes, there's 400 people flew into Queensland. They're going to go into quarantine, tickety-boo. Shouldn't every single one of those 400 people be tested for coronavirus before they get to go or leave the airport?
Do you know what? There are two different issues here, and maybe you've got a point about the AFL and the testing there. I actually agree with you on that. I do support the AFL being played in Queensland because it's great for Queensland to have that. But my key point is that I am just sick of the Sydney commentary people. I tried to say a word that I couldn't say. I'm just so sick of people in Sydney, all these expert commentators telling Queensland what to do. You know, I've only lived in Queensland for a year and a half now, and I suddenly understand why there is a resentment towards Sydney, because people in Sydney think they're so much better. They look at people in Queensland like backward yokels, and you think you can tell us what to do. Well, you know what? I'm not having it. I like the freedoms I've got because of the policies Anastasia Palaszczuk and her government have put in place. They have kept coronavirus, for the most part, out of this state.
400 people from Victoria.
Yeah,
if
well, you know what, Robbo, when a coronavirus
Palaszczuk.
outbreak comes because of that, come back to me until you can say I told you so. But look...
All right, if we could just...
Look, I wanted to say...
September.
I don't
Yes,
have a
right.
personal thing against Queensland. I think it's to do with the whole nation. I feel like we can't remain divided forever. We have to work out a roadmap for the future. We can't have a 2021 like this. And I think by Christmas, we need to be looking on a united front. I mean, our ambitions for federation shouldn't become, you know, another victim of COVID-19.
Yep.
Really,
Sure.
they shouldn't.
The only thing I would say about that, Joe, is I do agree with you. But if Victoria still has a COVID cluster, I don't want the borders open to them. I just don't, and I'm sorry.
Oh my God, you just said that you would allow 400 people from Victoria into the
As I
Queensland
said,
vote, and
Robbo,
then you sit...
this is not a black and white issue. There are elements of grey.
There are.
All right. But what I do want to bring up, it's not just our leaders who are turning on each other, and it's not just the Ben, Robin, Robbo or the Joe, Robin, Robbo panel. Let's have a look at this.
Rojo.
Let's have a look at this exchange from yesterday's press conference with Victorian Premier Dan Andrews.
This press conference clearly enables you to speak more directly, more often, to more Victorians than you ever have before.
I've been told that there are many people who tune in.
Yeah.
And many tune in
I think it sidelines...
every day, which is good.
I think this sidelines us, the mainstream media. Do you think this press conference makes the mainstream media less relevant to your political fortunes because you've got more direct communication?
I value my hour and a half most days with the mainstream media,
Sure you do.
all of whom are sitting in front of me. Not all of you are visible to the camera. Maybe the audience would prefer it otherwise, but I wouldn't agree with that analysis at all, Raph. And the fact
make
that...
the bad headline less relevant?
Well, I'm
Because
not
you're
motivated
working more
by
directly.
bad headlines or good ones. Seriously, just have a look at the politics in this state, look at the history of this state in the last 6 years. Do you really think I'm motivated by bad headlines? Really?
That wasn't my
I
question
get
about
on
your
and get my job done, and I'll leave it to others to judge whether that's to their liking or not. My focus has always been on getting on and getting the job done, and that's what I'm absolutely committed to, and it's why I stand here every day to take questions from the media and to answer them until you have no more to ask.
Okay, let me get this straight. The guy has done 63 press conferences in a row, stays there for almost 2 hours each day answering every question, and is now copping it for trying to do the right thing. Robbo, give me strength. And look, Raph, I've appeared on his radio program. I like him, but this is completely out of line, isn't it?
Look, yes, I think possibly this was searching for something that wasn't there exactly. It's been shown in Australia that when premiers front up to bushfires, floods, cyclones, anything that's happening that's affecting a huge amount of the electorate and indeed the country, they've always been commended for fronting up and answering those questions. He's a politician, so whether you like the answers that Dan Andrew gives you or not, that kind of push that aside for a moment. The fact is, the man fronts up every day to these press conferences, and that's what I think is actually a really good thing. Yep. Because a lot of people do not front up. If we can use Donald Trump for a moment, he was taken away from those COVID-19 press conferences because he was a bloody idiot. But he was taken away from those knows. But if you look at the office of President of the US or the office of the Premier or the Prime Minister or whatever, people want to hear from you because you are their leader. And so that's what I just don't agree with, this kind of analysis or this kind of criticism from that journalist in regards to Dan Andrews confronting those press conferences.
And Joe, so what if he is trying to avoid the media pack? You know, like, is that an entitlement that the media pack should determine how people feel about the politicians? If he can speak directly to the people, isn't that a good thing?
Well, ring the bell, because I think we're all in agreement on this one. I have to say, really? Stop sweating. But
I know. Well, it's getting hot in here.
It was for a second there, and I feel very unwelcome if you ever invite me to a barbecue, FYI, over the border.
Oh no, Joe! Once the restrictions are lifted, I would love to hold you in McKnight Mansion. Absolutely.
Oh, beautiful. But no, I agree with you, fellas. Definitely.
Yes, Robbo, you're not invited. Joke.
I think he's probably making up for the ineptitude in the first place of the Victorian government, but let him have the direct contact. Communication is everything. I think that's what Gladys was going on about between the states. Communication is key, and if he can get his message directly to the people in the households, I listen to it every day on my Alexa on Amazon. And it's great having your news not delivered through someone else's package and someone else's eyes, and to make your own opinion up. And I think Australians are intelligent enough to be able to do that. So I agree with you both.
Agree.
Sorry, Joe. Just wondering, what's the kickback from Amazon and Alexa that you get for that?
We want a bit of that coin. Where do I send the invoice?
Absolutely none.
Where do I send the invoice?
Annoying app, but the only thing I can bloody get on it is Sky News. That's actually the annoying thing. I think Sky News is in with Alexa. That's the thing.
Well, okay. All right, look. To the biggest news story of the day, and it looks like 2020's biggest celebrity feud has come to an end. Or has it? Regular viewers to the Ben, Rob and Robbo show are well aware Marty Sheargold from the Kate, Tim and Marty show on Nova doesn't like me very much. It all comes down to a coffee we had together where he found me extremely dull and boring. While Marty might have a point, he's spoken about our encounter many times. But yesterday, it looked like there might be a change of fortunes. Marty was reacting to an article on news.com.au in which I said Channel 7's news show, Plate of Origin, is dead after the bad ratings it has delivered. So imagine my surprise when I received calls and texts telling me Marty was calling me his mate. I was pleasantly surprised until I heard the audio. Take a listen.
Origin's ratings sank to a new low last night with my mate Rob McKnight from TV's blog website.
TV Black Box.
TV Black Box. I think he does a show with Rob, Phil and Pete.
Yeah, you can really
The Ben, Rob and Robbo show?
The Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Thank you, mate.
Rob McKnight's called it. He's saying the show is dead, quote unquote.
No way, has he?
Yeah, he's called it.
It's a big call.
The old Shining McKnight. The show launched on Sunday night and pulled 700,000 viewers. On Monday, it dropped to 510, and last night it was 419. Not quite this week live, but it's certainly heading into that territory.
And also, Arn's Brush with Fame's on. Like, you know, there's just so many choices.
It's a big night of telly.
Wednesday
The
night.
Masked Singer had nearly 800, The Block had nearly 700, and Brush with Fame had nearly 682.
Okay.
Rob McKnight suggesting viewers might not have been in the mood for another cooking show so quickly after MasterChef wrapped up.
And that did really well, MasterChef.
And it did do really well.
And it was a really great
Yeah, I heard that. Even people that I thought would be highly unlikely to give it a rap have said, have you been watching the latest MasterChef?
I didn't watch a moment of it, but
I didn't see any of it.
I'm very happy for the people that were involved.
Of course.
But Rob McKnight, the Shining McKnight, has also blamed Plate of Origin's confusing format.
Oh, how so? Did he go into
I
detail?
don't know.
Do you know what the format is?
Has anyone seen it?
Well, it is effectively, and I know this because I know the person that may or may not have pitched this idea to Channel 7 to begin with. It's effectively the World Cup of food. It's basically like what is the ultimate cuisine?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I'd like to thank Irene from Home and Away there, Tim and Angry Anderson for that wonderful analysis of our show. So, yeah, if you can, head over to Today FM and listen to Irene, Tim and Angry for all of their latest wonderful analysis of what's happening on this show.
Joe, I have a feeling the feud's not over.
I don't know how you're going to hit back with that one.
But I haven't done anything, Joe. I have just been the victim here of a bad coffee.
And you gave them a good 10-minute segment at least. So he should be sending you a check for that. Rob, I would take no offence. All publicity is good publicity. Isn't that what they say?
Indeed.
As long as you can get the name right the next time. But yeah. And now I am slightly worried because I put up Plate of Origin as our group binge on our TV Binge Box podcast for this week. And now I'm thinking, if you say it's dead, we shouldn't be bothered watching it.
Well,
anyway.
And I preface that by saying I actually did like the show, but we'll talk about more of that in entertainment a little later with Robbo today, filling in for Ben. But look, let's move on. And when we first spoke to Pam Ahern from Edgar's Mission, we met Ruby, the vet nurse dog, and learned about the wonderful work that this organisation does for rescued farm animals. And she joins us once again to introduce us to some more of her family friends. Pam, welcome back to the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Hi, everyone.
It's great to have you here. You have some adorable lambs there with you. Let's start with Mona Lisa. How did she come to arrive at Edgar's Mission?
Little Mona Lisa arrived to us a few weeks ago from another rescue organisation called Lamb Care Australia. She was surrendered to them, and her needs were just a little bit beyond what they could do. We've had success in the past with some of these special needs lambs, and we're trying to work our magic with Mona Lisa now.
Oh, lovely.
And so, Pam, what has been your progress with Mona Lisa?
It has really been incredibly amazing. When she first came, she just flopped on the ground and her head just sort of sunk down, and we weren't even sure if she could see. She couldn't even hold her weight. It would seem pretty much a hopeless case, but I always believe it's never over until you've given it your best shot, and that's what we've been doing, trying to get this little girl back on her feet, because she's trying to do that as well, and we're determined to help her. Hey, little girl?
Now, is she like her namesake? Does, whenever you walk around the room, do her eyes follow you? You know how that spooky painting does that?
Well, she certainly thinks I'm her most special human in the world, and she does actually see me, and you can see her. She'll be doing her training in the morning, a little cart, and I'll call her name, and she gets terribly excited, and her little legs go as fast as they can towards me. My mum says that she's easily pleased.
Well, let's talk about her legs now. Can you show us exactly where she's at right now?
We can. We've got two methods that we're using to get about. We have a little cart, quite an expensive cart that we have, and we also have a $2 shopping bag. And the shopping bag's actually doing quite great results. So we have a go here. Cork, do you want to come and give us a hand? Hey, that what we did is just an ordinary shopping bag. We've cut a little hole out for her head, and she has a poop chute at the back, and we've just cut the corners out for her little legs to go in. Hey, Moni, hop up.
Wow.
Hey, Moni.
If only All Fashion had a poop chute, we'd be more. That's right.
Moni, come on, Moni, come on, Melissa, come on. Oh,
that brings a tear to my glass eye, Robbo.
It's beautiful. Now, Pam, will she ever be able to walk properly, or is this kind of the extent for Mona Lisa?
It's really the $64,000 question. We're not quite sure where the ceiling is for how far she'll go. I don't think we've by any chance reached the ceiling because she does improve every day. I'd like to think that she could actually get full independent mobility. She'll always be a special needs sheep, but that's fine. We've got quite a few of those here.
She seems very happy.
I'd like to know, is it hard with animals like Mona Lisa deciding whether their potential quality of life is going to be worth it? I mean, where do you reach the point where, I'm trying to think of a delicate way to put this, but, you know, like euthanizing them might be better for them?
That's a really good question, and we don't just keep life for life's sake. It does have to be a life truly worth living for these animals. And with Mona Lisa, she's certainly showing us there's an interest in the world around her. She's not exhibiting pain. She gets quite excited, and she loves her food. So I'm seeing all these positive experiences that this animal has. And it's like humans. We don't just write humans off because they have a disability. Traditionally, we have written animals like this off because they're a disability, but I don't think that the shape that she comes in or the fact that we've labelled her a farmed animal should determine determine how we treat her. There's a being there who very much wants to live, and that's what we're trying to help her do.
Great. Okay.
That is so wonderful. It looks amazing. Now, you've also got Kiki D there. What can you tell us about her?
Yes. Kiki D, we walk this way and we'll find Kiki D. She's over here. Kiki D is the tiniest little lamb that we have ever had. We've rescued quite a few lambs over nearly 20 years, and she was just over 1 kilo when she came in. She was one of triplets. She was the tiniest, weeniest one, and her mother had rejected her. She said, I've got my work cut out for me with 2, 3's too many. And she'd actually been attacked by probably a crow or something. Her eye had been pecked at. It was really quite sad when she came, but she's just here. Kiki D.
Pam, really quickly. Pam, her name is Kiki D. If you have a lamb there or a sheep there that's named Elton John, can you not let them get together? Because it'll save her a lot of pain down the track.
We have a rooster, Elton John. He's down the road.
Oh. Well, that would be a weird. That would definitely be a weird gathering of animals if those two got together.
So how is Kiki D now? She's only got one eye, but she's doing well?
Well, she has the other eye here. We think the vision actually slowly returning again. We're not quite sure how far we're going to get with that, but she can certainly open the eye. There's no discharge there. We're putting medication at 4 times a day. We've got our work cut out with our crew this year. We've got quite a few special needs lammies here, but she's coming along really well. We've actually got her out in this big yard now. She used to spend most of her time up in the office getting nursed by all of our staff up there. They very reluctantly have given her up, and she's doing really well holding her own against the much bigger lambs.
Pam, I'm loving seeing around the area. The walk and talk is actually fantastic, but some of your animals can actually be adopted or sponsored. What does that involve?
That's right. Some of the lambs here, we have 13 lambs at the moment here. Now, some of these lambs are quite healthy, like little filly here, Philadelphia Freedom, and she will probably be adopted out when she's strong enough. Some of the other lambs, like the Kiki D and Little Monalisa, will stay with us, so they won't be going part of our adoption program, so we'll find foster homes for them where they can live out their lives forever. And then other animals that stay with us, people can sponsor them and help us cover the costs of their ongoing care for the rest of their life.
And how do we get in contact with you to do that?
edgarsmission.org.au is our Facebook page, and we're on Instagram and Twitter and all those other sorts of technical things. I'm really good at looking after animals. I'm not technologically savvy.
Pam, this has been exactly what we've needed for the end of our working week. I know it's only Thursday, but Ben Robin Robbo show, it's our Friday today. This has been fabulous. Thank you again for the dedication that you give these animals. And as Pam said, if you'd like to learn more and meet the animals, head to edgarsmission.org.au. Pam, thank you so much for being on the Ben Robin Robbo show.
No worries, everyone. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye. Oh, someone's pulling my hair.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You'll never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
All right, to get to our random live shot of the day, let's see where we're going on the big Google Earth map. And we're going north, up the north, and we're heading towards Taiwan. As we go in here, we're going to find a little dam in the Shihemen Reservoir. And here we go in, you can see the dam, and let me take you through to the shot. Here we go. Look at that as the sun goes down. Robbo, don't you love a little bit of glam to go with it? It's a lovely overcast top of 34 degrees in Taiwan after a low of 27 degrees. And what a beautiful sight as the sun goes down there. All right, let's
Wonderful
have a
part
look
of the
at
world.
some feedback coming through to the Ben Robin Robbo show. Jo, I'm loving
nervous.
the red today. You look amazing as always.
Jamie,
yeah, you
good
really do,
taste.
Jo. Reggie says, we are all Australians and we should be helping each other. Get over your petty, bloody border fighting. Terry says...
Thanks, Reggie.
You are almost correct, Rob, but I feel there should never be a blanket no. I don't know what that story is in relation to. Janelle says, bravo, Rob, bravo. Southern media types keep telling Queensland what to do. When did I vote for them? And please, get the Premier's name correct. I did. I said Anderson Glacier Palace.
No,
I
it was
think
me.
that's to you, Jo.
It was me. Yes, it was.
Liam said, so Rob, if there's a financial benefit to Queensland, let them in. Otherwise, it's just piss off. No,
Correct,
Liam.
Liam. Thank you very, very much, Liam.
Liam,
He speaks the truth.
Liam, that's not
Liam
what I'm
Moore?
saying. Liam, that's not what I'm saying.
What a wonderful man.
Liam, I'm saying that there are a lot of processes in place with the AFL. But Jamie says AFL players need to be tested for more than COVID. Reggie says, bahaha, oh, the love from Marty D's there for you, Rob. Amanda says, Marty really doesn't like you. That is so passive-aggressive. It's not funny. Cameron says, put Rob and Marty in the next Big Brother house. Lol. And Leonardo says, Joel Creasy seems a lot better person for the slot now that Marty's leaving. Very good point.
Oh, my Leo? What?
Well, because Marty's leaving Nova and Joel Creasy's taking over, so he's saying that.
No. I was reacting to that information. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much.
I didn't understand your reaction.
All right. I was just saying. Yeah, fine. Next, hey Jo Casamento, what have you got for us? We're going to go.
Well,
to
we've
your
been lucky enough
now.
to have her here on the show today, but we still need our Thursday fix of movies and pop culture. So for that. We go to Jo. Jo, we had the VMAs. Lady Gaga was wearing an array of masks. And now the Venice Film Festival is set to kick off. Socially distanced red carpets are becoming... I don't know what you did then, Robbo.
Sorry.
I missed it as well.
No,
Why?
I was dabbing to Abby. Sorry.
Oh, good. You're talking to our producer on the other line. Great. Well, we'll just do a show. Jo, talk to me about socially distancing on the red carpet.
Yeah, well, I have been dying. I've missed red carpets and you know, we are in lockdown and it's been lovely to see all these Hollywood stars in their lounge rooms, in their pajamas, zooming in, showing us their kitchens, showing us their home gyms. But, gee, I've missed that glamour and glitz. And I was so happy to see the VMAs back last weekend where we got to see Miley and we got to see Gaga in all her masks and outfits. And that was no easy feat to produce. I believe it was filmed in 5 different locations around the boroughs of Brooklyn and mostly shot outside. And there were multiple red carpets and performances that had to be pre-taped. So it's not an easy feat to do. But I'm very excited to let you know that our very own Kate Blanchett, alongside Tilda Swinton, another great actress and red carpet guest, is going to be at the Venice Film Festival, which looks likely to be the first pandemic red carpet, if you get, for the film industry. And I, for one, am super excited and I can't wait.
And Jo, it has been a sad week for fans of Chadwick Boseman, who was loved worldwide as the Black Panther. We have talked about this, but he died on the weekend from colon cancer. But there is one way we can celebrate his life, though. Tell me about that.
That's right. Look, Hollywood is in mourning, of course, and we've had some great Marvel tributes from a lot of his colleagues who worked with him. But now the biggest theatre chain in the US has actually put it out to the public and asked them which Chadwick Boseman film they would like to see on the big screen, apart from Black Panther, of course. And they have voted for 42. It was called, not 40. Well, he was 43 when he died. I thought I mixed those numbers up. Film is called 42. It topped the list of what people want to see. It's a biopic about a baseball player, Jackie Robinson, and they're going to get to see that. Now, we can see it, and I watched it myself last night on Foxtel here on Binge. I got to see it. So if you want to, honour the actor who gave us some great performances, that's one way you can do it.
Well, Jo, I've got to ask you really quickly. I've got to be honest. I've never seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, but I know there's.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
How's that even happened?
24,
okay. Well, that makes
24.
sense.
But if thank you for
even the
believing
blind
that.
men laughed at that one.
Jo, if you could tell me what's coming up for the new movie. Look,
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this because I am no fan of Bill and Ted myself. But I think I went yesterday and I got to say Bill and Ted's newest adventure, which is called Bill and Ted Face the Music, is quite possibly the piece of cinema we need to see this year.
Wow.
It is funny. I laughed. It is just got such a beautiful spirit. It's so silly. It's just ridiculous. But it is one of those films that I reckon, honestly, It's Father's Day this weekend, and there are some previews out at Hoyt's. I reckon if he was of that vintage, you need to get along. He might need to explain what a phone box is. I don't know. But they were before these things. Let's take a little look at the preview. I know we've got a little snippet for you. It will just take you back in time.
25 years ago, you played a concert in front of the entire world. 1 month ago, you played in Barstow, California for 40 people, most of whom were there for $2 taco night. Bill and Ted, what have you got to say for yourselves?
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
You were supposed to unite the world and save reality as we know it.
Bill, we've spent our whole life trying to write the song that will unite the world. Why can't we just go to the future when we have written it?
Whoa! And take it from ourselves.
But isn't that stealing?
How is that stealing if we're stealing it from ourselves, dude?
No way!
How'd you like our song?
It's a little on the dark side, but that's cool.
Honestly, it's so silly. It's so dumb. I know, and I don't like dumb. Like, that's not my thing.
What are you doing on this show?
Hey, come on, guys. I consider you very, very, very special. So that's not the right word. That's the wrong word, isn't it?
No, it's perfect.
This is a movie that will just delight your heart. It really will. And it's got a special Aussie flavour. Samara Weaving, who's Hugo Weaving's daughter, is in it, one of the main roles. She's on a great kick in Hollywood and she's on her way to the top, I tell you. Take your dad along. Have a lot of fun. I'm going to give it 4 Choc Tops, which is a lot for a comedy for me, with a little sprinkle on top. Honestly, it really will just make you laugh. It really will. So catch it at Hoyt's from next week.
Fabulous. Well, continue with nostalgia, Jo, and why not, hey? It's the 40th anniversary of one of the craziest musical comedies of all time.
Yep. Tell me you've seen this one, fellas. I'll be very disappointed if you haven't. It is 40 years, can you believe, since the Blues Brothers.
I have definitely seen this one.
Oh, phew. Robbo, are you joking?
Yeah, of course I have. I've seen the Red Brother, the Blue Brother. Yeah, of course I've seen it.
I can't even. It's like part of our vernacular. It's part of pop, our pop culture history.
We'll show you some footage, Robbo. Maybe this will remind you.
Aretha Franklin, remember her?
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means.
Ray Charles.
Don't sing it.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Anyway, Jo, why are you bringing this one up? Because it's 40 years.
It's 40 years, and so Event Cinemas are this weekend putting it back on again. Another great one to take your dad to. They're the perfect dad flicks. So get along for Father's Day, but it's also got some great music. It really, who can forget Jake and Elwood sporting sunglasses? Ray Charles is in it, as I mentioned, Aretha Franklin. The cameos are great. Were you a fan, Rob, of the original?
I was. I didn't see it until much later, and we watched it one night and just went, yeah, this is cool. Enough that we went and bought the DVD, and I haven't seen it that many times, but it is a fun romp, Jo.
It is, and it started out as a Saturday Night Live skit, can you believe? So
that's right.
There you are, and it got a whole movie. So 2 big stars, get along to that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Jo, and that brings us to the
Jo
end of
Casamento,
Thursday's
thanks so much for that. We've got entertainment coming up now.
Sorry,
if you want to
Robbo,
continue
it's time
watching,
to go.
We're going to be
you now know what Ben.
Rob.
I'll cut Robbo's mic. He now knows what Ben feels like when we don't get to entertainment.
Oh, did I hog it all? I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, Robbo. I blame you for talking too much during Hot Topics. It's time to say goodbye. We will see you next week, and hopefully Ben's with us. Big week next week. Scott Cam, Joanna Griggs, and so much more. We'll see you next week on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Thank you, Jo.
Thank you.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo